Hey guys, so the assignment this week is to get outside and do some drawings direct from nature, which is in fact one of my favorite activities. So I thought I'd use it as an opportunity to give you a little peek at one of my sketchbooks and show you what captures my attention when I get outside to draw. So first of all, I wanted to show you the materials that I've been working with through the last few years when I go out to draw. I've got this pad of I use these pads of tan paper. I really like the tan paper. Working on paper that's not white gives me the opportunity to work with both pencil and white chalk. You should have something like this in your kit. I don't know if you have any of those pencils or you have the white Conti crayons, I think. And I carry those along with me. I carry a couple of 4B drawing pencils and a couple of I really like the number 2 pencils, or the writing pencils, which are also the same as HB. I like to start with them a lot of the time before I build up my darks with the 4Bs. So white eraser, kneaded eraser in there, and a pencil sharpener, and that's my little kit. And this is my sketchbook. So let me get you. Where was I going to start? Okay. The trick when you get outside is to decide what to draw. And sometimes you can be faced with a lot of beautiful nature and not know where to focus your attention. And so what I would say is to look for areas of bold contrast where you've got darks against light, where you've got interesting shapes that are somehow highlighted or kind of stand out. And look for those contrasts and look for those shapes. You can't always get every detail that you see when you're out there in nature. Sometimes trees end up being, kind of more about scratches and just getting your marks in a certain direction. Sometimes it's nice to try to build up a pattern. I like in this one, a sort of almost a cross-hatching way that I worked with the white in this one. But I'm always kind of looking for like a big thing that catches my eye in shape and contrast. And there's something like this tree that just had this nice dark form against the light beyond it, shadow cast on the ground, not a lot of extra. That's the kind of thing that's going to grab my attention. Something like this, a scene like this, I just love coming across. Because the shapes are so interesting, and you don't have to work that hard to get this to really pop out and really really kind of sing. You're not fighting with things that are hiding against each other. Waiting for my daughter to get out of the dentist. A culvert in the woods behind my house. There's something about that dark entryway that I found really appealing and kind of mysterious. Similarly, there's this cave in the woods. I took a lot of walks in the woods behind my house in Bath, and there's this cave in the woods back there that's really fascinating and interesting. It's not just the fact of the cave. I love that the light was catching the rock in front here, and there was like an uprooted stump there that had this root sticking up, creating an interesting shape. And that created some, by getting my lightest light right here against my darkest dark, it makes the whole thing it enhances the contrast of both. This was a scene, I remember drawing this one where I really liked this rock formation here in front of the bridge. The woods behind it were a little bit messier, and I have to admit I cleaned it up a little bit so that this would stand out. If I had really drawn everything that was back here as I saw it, then some of this would have gotten lost. So you have the option of creative license to kind of edit and include what you think is going to be interesting. This was a frozen pond in winter, and I loved the way the trees were casting shadows on the ice. And some more, again, contrast, great lights against darks, interesting shapes and forms. I want to go back to this site. This was a spot I had decided I wanted to draw, but I think I first saw it late afternoon, and I returned to it to actually draw it earlier in the day. And the light was hitting these trees from a direction that didn't have as much contrast as it was the first time I saw it. I drew it anyway, but I think it would be fun to go back and get these trees more in shadow, silhouetted against the sky. They would have a different look to them. if you can sort of, you know, find groupings of shapes and forms, that's great. Like, you know, this band of woods up here creates one form. There's sort of a hill back here, a hill back here, the house and the foreground. And you don't want much more than that. That's a lot going on in there. Another creative license thing, I remember working on this one. These trees were actually significantly taller in my view, but I wanted to make them fit on the page, so I shrunk them down a little bit and made them fit. I always love looking at roots. This approach of working on the tan paper is really wonderful in winter because you can just add the white for snow there. You don't always have to go far. This is my backyard. My in-laws have a more dramatic backyard. Didn't finish that one. They're up in the White Mountains. Sometimes finish is good and sometimes it's not so good. I thought I was going to work on this one some more. I showed it to my wife and she thought it looked great in that sort of unfinished stage with just some of these parts that are just sort of hinted in there. And really it had everything it needed, so I didn't go back to that one. I usually do as much as I can on site, and then later I'll pick away at making things a little darker here and lighter there, and kind of giving it a little bit more richness in the studio. This is one that I'm not satisfied with. I feel like it's way too confusing. The site was interesting to me, but I don't think I had a clear vision for this composition, and I think it's just got a real jumble. The rock formation here was a lot more dramatic and interesting, and I think it just kind of gets lost. So we don't get them all. This was in my friend's backyard as he was sugaring in March, and that's his setup for that. Another one that just some simple ideas. This was an interesting dark. This was an interesting shape. It had a great shadow. Didn't need much more than that. A less finished one. Just a quick sketch. This interesting tree that had been pecked at by woodpeckers. One that I may or may not return to. I usually get a little bit more than this done on location. But I was sketching with my daughter one day, and she was sitting up on this big boulder, doing a little drawing herself, and that's what I got done there. Another less finished one. This one I thought I lost when I was working on it. I did not think it was gonna go anywhere, and then I gave it some real muscle back in the studio and darkened up the stream and gave it a little bit more drama, and I'm more happy with it now. And this one was just the other day. Not sure what I'm thinking about this one. It's this incredible shape with the underside of this upturned tree. And I thought the shape was really fantastic. And I haven't done anything more with it right now. Didn't even get any white into it. I usually get some white into it on location. But that's one that'll probably get a little bit more work. So I hope that gives you a little bit of inspiration. And if any of you are interested in working on toned paper, you might try that for this assignment. You can just grab a paper shopping bag. That can be a nice thing to work on. Cut it up into some pieces that are a good size to draw on, and take that out with you. It can also be nice to rub charcoal into a piece of white paper and kind of rub it in. I would do it with willow charcoal, rub it in, and wipe it off with a paper towel, and then you can draw on that with more charcoal to go darker, or erase into it to go lighter. Another great way to start not on one end of the spectrum with white, but to start in the middle with a toned paper. So I hope that gives you some inspiration, and I can't wait to see what you guys get done with this assignment too. Thanks, everybody.